Smartphone reviews are all over YouTube. Being a tech YouTuber and just an all-around tech geek, I watch a lot of them.
Yo, what's up everybody? It's your boy Floss.
Hey, what is up guys? I'm KBHD here.
What's up guys? Saf here on Super Saf TV.
I'm Mr. Mobile, and let's figure it out.
Being a consistently good smartphone reviewer is not that easy. First off, you need to find a way to get your hands on the latest and greatest devices on time, which are not very cheap by the way. When you do get them, you gotta find a way to make your content stand out, cause let's be honest, when you see one or two good product reviews, you've pretty much seen them all. When you watch more of them, after a while they start to look and sound very similar. That's why YouTube tech reviewers often try to spice up their videos with beautiful cinematics, interesting personalities, or by taking rather radical approaches. Like with any other genre, avoiding standard forms can often make for the most interesting results, as in the case of Casey Neistat. Casey is a very famous YouTuber who is best known for vlogging, a genre for which he set standards that will probably last for years to come. But every now and then, he'll also make a tech review, and while he himself likes to emphasize that he's not very good at that, I often find myself enjoying his videos more than ones made by more established tech channels. As a very successful videographer and filmmaker, he's a natural authority when it comes to reviews on cameras and other video equipment. But what I personally find much more interesting is how he reviews a phone. First things first, Casey Neistat is not your typical YouTube tech reviewer, and this is something he likes to remind the viewers quite often.
Alright, in general, I'm not very good at tech reviews, but let's get started. This side-by-side technique is something I stole from my friend Super Sap. He's a much better tech reviewer than me. And this was another kind of terrible, like, super rushed, kind of like not that good tech review from Casey Neistat.
He also goes a step further and puts emphasis on something that many others usually like to keep in the closet: his own biases.
Before I get into this review, I want to disclose that this is not an unbiased review. This is a biased review. This review is extremely biased. I also work for Samsung.
Without giving much thought to the situation, one might think that these disclaimers would make a viewer click away. But what they really do, at least in Casey's case, is provide the number one thing a viewer is expecting when watching any review: honesty. When you're watching a Casey Neistat phone review, you're like, okay, he's not really a tech reviewer, he admits he's biased, and he openly states he works with or for a phone manufacturer. But it's all out in the open, so might as well hear what this guy has to say. Now at this point, he also hasn't made a ton of smartphone reviews, but with the ones that he has, he's developed a presentation style that makes for quite an interesting case study. Let's talk about visuals for a sec. How do phone reviews typically look? They can be really fancy actually, but Casey Neistat does none of that. You won't see any pan and zoom effects, there's no tabletops with neatly placed plants, toys, and colorful office supplies, nor is there any B-roll footage of him casually using the phone in a real-life situation. Despite his amazing filmmaking abilities and who knows how many dollars worth of equipment, Casey's phone reviews have a sort of raw quality to them, like they were made by just another ordinary YouTuber. I used to ask myself, what is it that makes a good YouTube video more appealing to a lot of people than one that is equally good but was made by a professional TV crew? And then it came to me, it's the GSHP effect. Grandma's Special Homemade Pancakes. It works like this: you go to a restaurant, order some pancakes for dessert, you finish them off and think they're really good. But no matter how good they might be, they're never gonna be better than the ones your grandma makes, cause some things are just better when they're homemade. Casey's videos in general have that quality to them, which is especially visible when he goes outside his genre and makes something like a smartphone review. More traditional tech reviewers on YouTube try to equally cover as many aspects of a phone as possible as soon as possible. They often strive to know everything about everything, which is something you'd expect because, after all, it is their job. The more information you can get, the better. But as someone who comes from outside the genre, Casey Neistat tends to put the focus on just a few things, mainly the camera. In fact, he'll dedicate an entire video to comparing just the camera of one phone to another. And this brings us back to credibility. As someone who has built his entire brand using cameras, it's only natural for him to put the main focus on something that falls under his expertise. So when a viewer is listening to Casey Neistat talking about a camera, it's like listening to Michael Jordan talking about basketball. You just know you've come to the right person. Now, this doesn't necessarily make him better than all the other tech reviewers, but it has helped him tremendously, not only in overcoming the shortcomings that are normal for someone who's making a crossover from one genre to another, but also in building his own reviewing style. And the way he reviews a phone camera is simple. Without paying much regards to megapixels, sensor sizes, or DxO marks, he'll take at least 2 different phones, take a bunch of photos and videos with them, and put them side by side. Which camera is better? That's for you to decide. When you're watching a Casey Neistat video, New York City and his studio feel like characters in the show. But in his phone reviews, the city and the studio practically take the function of utilities. This mostly applies to situations when he's testing out cameras, which, as we already established, are often the main focus of his reviews. Casey is constantly on the move, and it's no different when he's reviewing a phone. The ambience, beautiful scenery, and different lighting situations provided by his trademark surroundings construct the perfect playground for him to do his thing. And while he definitely didn't coin this type of reviewing style, he has used it in his advantage in order to bridge the gap between this type of videos and the ones his audience is accustomed to seeing. And if you take a step back, you can see that the format is basically the same, only the topic of the day is different. Besides the camera, another thing that Casey often puts emphasis on is the form factor, paying attention to the size, look, and the overall feel of a phone. In his presentation, he doesn't abide by any standard forms. Instead, the flow of his reviews is directed only by his own interests as a user. For example, Casey pays no regards to specs, benchmarks, or any of that stuff, but he does talk a lot about how a phone feels in the hand and how it physically compares to competing devices or its predecessors. His reviews don't feel planned, and they're definitely not scripted. Instead, they have a sort of unpolished flow to them, which suggests that ideas and thoughts are just naturally unveiling themselves in accordance with his own priorities.
Right off the bat, it's got one hardware feature that I think should be required on every phone made. On the back of this glass sandwich, there is this gigantic camera protrusion. I would love another mechanism to unlock this thing besides Face ID and besides this key code.
Sometimes he doesn't even finish a sentence.
Now, they call this thing all screen, and it sort of is, besides the, I like that there's no more button.
But the point goes through, and the point is that in this sort of organic reviewing style, a style in which personal tendencies are embraced and laid out convention is avoided, the feel is the most important thing.
Cell phones remain my single favorite piece of technology. If you're interested in working in media, a YouTuber, filmmaker, photographer, you could literally build an entire career using nothing but your cell phone.
So guys, I really do hope that you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making it, and I know it's a bit different than what you're used to seeing on this channel, but as someone who often struggles in finding a way to make his own content stand out and have a chance of being recognized in the oceans of YouTube tech content, I really think that Casey's crossovers to the world of smartphone reviews can serve as an example, especially for aspiring channels. There may never be another MKBHD or Mr. Mobile, but there can be you. So, until then, thanks for watching, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the future. Stay strong.